Namaste students. Today we are going to discuss about reading comprehension in English language. So let us know what is reading comprehension. Most of the students have myths. Myth meaning false belief. Students feel that I don't know the grammar rules, I am weak in vocabulary, I don't know the meaning of most of the words in English, I am very poor in English, I cannot pass an English subject. This is one of the biggest mistake the students feel or think. This all are myths. These all are myths. Now today I am going to tell you what is the meaning of reading comprehension. Reading comprehension is nothing but it is the ability to read the text, process it and understand its meaning. Reading comprehension is nothing but, in short, understanding. Reading passage has two parts. One is main idea plus it has supporting details. Let us take one example. Let me give the example of a movie or a cinema. In movie you have main characters. Hero, heroine are the main characters and the supporting characters are the other people like friends, relatives, family members of the actors. They are called as supporting characters. So in reading passages also you have main idea plus supporting details. Reading comprehensions can be seen or unseen. The passages which are seen means you have studied it earlier. Unseen passages meaning you have not read that passage or that text before. These passages can be from your textbooks, storybooks, newspaper articles, extracts from encyclopedias. It can be opinion based, fact based or story based. Don't fear comprehension passages. I am here to guide you on these myths. Let us take first myth. I don't know the grammar rules, I can't attempt the passage. For such students, those who feel that they don't know the grammar rules, let me tell you, you need to be positive. If you try, you can answer all questions correctly. Let me give you one example. Imagine a boy from Telangana, from rural place. He has gone to Chennai and he cannot speak a word of Tamil. He knows English but he is not fluent or very strong in English. He has to ask address of railway station. He asks a Tamilian, where I go catch the train. Now if we see this example, this sentence is grammatically wrong. Here the grammar rules are not followed, but a message is conveyed. The Telugu speaker is able to convey a message to a Tamil speaker, and the person who is listening, he has understood his message and he will guide him to the railway station. So my first advice to you students is ignore grammar rules and concentrate on the content of the passage. Read the passage 3 to 4 times and try to understand what is the content. Underline the key words, years, dates, etc. You will get one question related to the facts. It is called as factual question. For example, if there is a passage on Telangana movement and there is a question, when did Telangana movement start? For this question, you have to mention the year which will be given in the passage. You can just underline the important keywords and years and you will get the answer. Now come to myth 2. I am weak in vocabulary. I don't know the meaning of most of the words. Most of the students feel that they know only little English and they don't know the meanings of most of the words in English. So they cannot speak or they cannot understand the text which they are reading. Again, my advice is no need to worry. from the passage, there may be 10 or 15 words which you don't know. You can guess the meaning of these new words from the context which are given with the other related to the other words. Out of 100% of words, if you don't know 5 to 10% of vocabulary, there is no harm. Still, you can attempt the remaining answers with 85% of words you know. Following this method, you can understand the passage. Now, there are few tips for you students. Read the passage first and then questions. The students whose reading skills are weak, first they need to read the passage, then read the questions. Again go back to the passage, read the passage, find the reading. First reading gives you general understanding, but second reading will give you focusing points. You can get some indicators or important words which will help you to understand the passage. Again read for the second time. Second reading will help you to make the answers or solve the answers easily. You will get answers immediately when you read second or third time. Take any passage from your textbook or from lower class textbook, frame questions on it, prepare information based questions and open ended questions. Don't prepare closed ended questions like yes or no. Frame open ended questions. If you are in that place, what will you do? What is the main character in the story? What are they doing in the story? Whether they have done something, is that correct or not? What is the conclusion? What is the moral of the passage? Try to generate such kind of questions. Preparing questions makes you concentrate on key elements of the passage. It enhances your comprehension levels. So, my tip for you all is to read and improve your reading skills. Take any textbooks whichever you find which is available in your home and try to read the textbooks, lessons, stories or passages and try to frame questions. Tips to answer the reading comprehension questions. Here are a few tips to answer the comprehension questions quicker and more efficiently. Students, those who have grip over English, who can read fast, who can understand English, for them they can follow this method. Read questions first. It is recommended that the candidates must first read the questions and then move towards reading the passage. This will help you to save time. In the entrance exam, time also matters. When you have to write all the questions, you have to solve different subject questions, you will be running short of time if you spend more time on reading passage, reading comprehension. So, better practice before the exam, and once you practice, start reading the questions and read the passage. Next is, do not assume anything. For reading comprehensions, another very important thing is to be kept in mind is that do not make assumptions. You should not think anything on your own. Whatever the writer has given the data in the passage, you have to take that information only. You don't have to assume your own data or meaning. Solve the vocabulary based questions first. Out of 5 or 10 questions, there will be 1 or 2 questions on vocabulary. So, if you are good at vocabulary, instead of going and solving first question, you can read the questions first, see the question. If it is based on vocabulary, if you know the synonym and antonym of those words, try to attempt that questions first. There is no hard and fast rule that you have to solve the paper in a particular order, sequence wise. You can attempt any question whichever you like, whichever you feel easy first. So, this will help you in saving time. Use the elimination method. Your entrance exam will be based on MCQ questions. There will be 4 options. Out of 4, there will be 1 answer which is completely wrong. 3 are left. Then out of this 3, there will be 1 which is close second which will be very close answer, and the last one, fourth one, will be the nearest one, which is the correct answer. So try to go for elimination method. Go on eliminating one by one options. Sections. If a candidate is not able to answer the question, then he or she must start eliminating the options which according to them may not be the correct answer. You first read all the 4 options. Try to eliminate. Eliminate means strike off, cut off the wrong answer. Out of 4 MCQs, if option D is incorrect, strike off that. Go and read 3 options. Read again and again. Then again delete one more option. You will be left with 2. Out of that 2, select one which is best one. Improvise your reading skills. Try reading the important words and phrases from the passage rather than reading each word in the comprehension. To save time on your exam day, it is advised that instead of reading the whole passage, if you can understand English better, try to read the important words and phrases. In the beginning, I told you to underline the keywords. So if you keep the years, dates and facts underlined, it will be easy for you. This will help you save some time. Focus on the first and last passages. Most of the time in the reading comprehension, first and last passages are very important. They will give you complete gist of the passage and they will give you important information. So you need to focus on first and last paragraphs of the passage. At the end, the conclusion passage is very important. From that conclusion or the last paragraph, they will ask you one question related to it. What is the passage about? What is the moral of the passage? Or what can you give a suitable title to the passage? Stating the tone of the passage, summarizing the passage. So if you understand first and last paragraphs of the passage, you can understand the complete text. Coming to some do's and don'ts. Always remember, there won't be direct answers to the questions asked. Out of 10 questions, you won't get any direct question, but there will be indicators which will direct you to the answer. Indicators are the keywords. Search or find the indicators in the passage. Reading comprehensions are given in the entrance exam to test the precise and thorough understanding of the passage, so there won't be any direct answers. Reading comprehensions are a part and parcel of all common entrance exams. It is very important you should have a grip over this reading comprehensions. Don'ts. Never try to translate the passage in your mother tongue. Let me tell you students, most of the students, the mistake what they do, they try to translate English into their mother tongue. Never ever do that. This will affect your understanding ability and you will make mistakes in the exam. Read and try to comprehend in English only. Whenever you are free, when you read newspaper or any articles or magazines or stories, try to read and understand in English. Never try to translate that in your mother tongue. Reading and comprehending the same text in English will improve your English language. Remember, English is a language and language learning is a skill. So you are learning a skill. Never translate English into Telugu. One more important and last advice for all students is practice makes a man perfect. Remember this proverb, practice makes a man perfect. I hope you might have read this and heard this proverb many times. It is very true. When you practice many times, you will become perfect. In the first attempt, you cannot get correct answers or full 10 on 10 marks. So here you need lots of practice. Practice rather than reading. Instead of just reading the newspapers or stories from the books, you need to practice writing question and answers, solving the answers, how to write answers. Just don't read the passage. Try to answer the questions. In general, students spend much time on reading the material. You read the newspaper articles, you read the stories, and you will close the books or newspapers. Try to generate questions, practice, try to frame questions and try to answer the questions. English is a skill-based subject. You have to practice the task to gain skill. Know your strengths and weak points. If you are weak in vocabulary, try to improve your vocabulary. Reading newspapers every day will help you improve your vocabulary. Every day read newspapers for 30 minutes. You will improve your vocabulary a lot. You will gain new words, you will learn new words. And if you feel that you are weak in English, in spellings and all, you can improve your spellings, you can improve your vocabulary, you can improve your speed of reading. Everything you can do with the help of newspaper. So reading newspaper for 30 minutes, it's recommended to all the students every day. Now let us take a sample passage to help you understand what kind of questions will be asked and how to write the answers. Now let us take the example. Radha asked Raghu, "Brother, are you not going to shop today?" "No. Today Garment Associations has called for a band," Raghu replied. Both went to Ashok, who was sitting with Hema in the drawing room. "Mom and Dad, shall we go to cinema all together?" asked Radha. "No, me and your mom is going to visit your grandfather today," Ashok replied. Now this is a small passage for your understanding. Now what kind of questions will be framed from this passage? Let us look at that. Let us take first question. What is the business of Raghu? If you see the passage, nowhere in the passage is mentioned that Raghu is doing so and so business, but there are some words which can guide you and help you to understand his business. Such words are called as indicators. If you see here in the third line, "No, today Garment Associations has called for a band," Raghu replied. Here Raghu is saying that today is a band for Garment Association. That means he deals with garments. Garments are nothing but cloth. So it's understood that he runs a shop, a business where he sells clothes. So you can write the answer here. The answer will be he runs a shop, a garment shop. So in this way you can get through indicators, through keywords you can get the answer. Now let us look at second question. What is the relationship between Raghu and Radha? Here also in this passage directly nowhere it is mentioned that the relationship between Raghu and Radha. But if you read properly, carefully and understand, you can see here in the first line, Radha asked Raghu, "Brother, are you not going to shop today?" Here the word brother is mentioned. Brother is a relationship. So here with this indicator, with this keyword, we can understand that Raghu is Radha's brother. So we come to the conclusion, or we get an answer here, that Raghu is Radha's brother. Now moving on to the next question. Who is Ashok? Again, if you read the passage, in the passage nowhere it's mentioned the relationship between Ashok and Radha or Raghu. But if you read the passage carefully, again you get indicators. Radha and Raghu both went to Ashok, who was sitting with Hema in the drawing room. Here, Mom and Dad, shall we go to cinema all together? Asked Radha. So here with this keywords or indicators, Mom and Dad, these are the indicators of this question. Radha is saying or addressing those two persons as Mom and Dad. So we can understand or come to conclusion that Ashok and Hema both are Radha and Raghu's parents. So who is Ashok? Ashok is no one but Ashok is Radha's and Raghu's father. So the answer is Ashok is Radha's or Raghu's father. Next, what is Radha's mother's name? Again, here directly nowhere it is mentioned that Hema is Radha's mother, but it is mentioned as indicator. Again here mom is given. Go back, read these lines carefully. Both went to Ashok, who was sitting with Hema in the drawing room. Here Hema is sitting with Ashok. If Ashok is the father, so Hema is mother. So here the relationship, or what is the name of Radha's mother? Her name is Hema. We get the answer as Hema. Hema is the name of Radha's mother. So in this way you need to understand, comprehend, understand the keywords, go to the indicators, read, go back, read the question, go back to the passage, find the indicators and come back and write the answers. So writing comprehension questions are not very difficult. If you try, with practice you can solve or you can write it correctly. Let us move on to the another passage, second sample. This is a passage taken from previous year question paper 2016 set exam. There are various forms in which the questions from a reading comprehension may be asked in the examination. For example, it can be give a suitable title to the passage. They will give a passage, a story, and they may ask you to write the title, a suitable title. After reading and comprehending the text or passage, you have to understand and you have to give a title, a short, a crisp, a very witty, a nice title, giving antonyms and synonyms for a word from the passage. They may ask you any word from the passage and they may ask you to write synonym or antonym. Synonym are nothing but same words, words with same meanings. Synonyms are the words which gives you same meaning. For example, synonym of happy is jovial, excited. Okay, what is the antonym of happy? Antonyms are nothing but opposite. Antonym of happy is sad. Okay, so in this way there may be few more questions which may be asked, antonyms or synonyms may be asked. For example, give the synonym of beautiful. Beautiful is synonym is lovely, pretty. Antonym of beautiful, ugly. So in this way you can first attempt the simple vocabulary based questions. There may be a question when they may ask you to tell the tone of the passage. What is the tone of the passage? Is it a serious? What is the author saying in that or the writer saying in that passage? You have to tell the feelings, emotions of that writer or that person. Is it happy, sad, gloomy? What kind of a tone it is? So when you read the passage, if everything is good, then you can say it is a happy tone. If the writer is showing everything as sad, gloomy, so you can say that it is very sad tone. Somebody has died there. So it is not a happy ending passage. Assumptions or conclusions based on the passage. They may ask you to write a conclusion. What do you feel? For example, a passage based on pollution or deforestation, demonetization. They may ask you, what do you conclude? Is this good or bad? So you have to write your own assumptions, your own conclusions. You have to give your own feedback. What do you think about that passage? Okay, how is deforestation destroying? How it is leading to global warming? You can give many examples from that. Many points you can write on that. Next type of questions will be fill in the blanks with respect to the passage. They may give you the starting point and they may ask you to complete the sentence. So this will be very easy type of questions. You can just go back to the text, read the passage, search the line, and you can fill the blanks. Next is again vocabulary based questions. It can be antonym, synonyms, or it can be past form of verb, present tense, or continuous tense. They may ask you any kind of questions, grammatical questions, spellings. Now let us look at sample 2. This passage was asked in 2016 Common Entrance Test. Let me read the passage for you. Primitive man was probably more concerned with fire as a source of warmth and as a means of cooking food than as a source of light. Before he discovered less laborious ways of making fire, he had to preserve it, and whenever he went on a journey, he carried a firebrand with him. His discovery that the firebrand from which the torch was very well have developed could be used for illumination was probably incidental to the primary purpose of preserving a flame. Lamps too probably developed by accident. Early man may have had his first conception of a lamp while watching a twig or fiber burning in the molten fat dropped from a roasting carcass. All he had to do was to fashion a vessel to contain fat and float a lighted reed in it. Such lamps, which were made of hallowed stones or seashells, have persisted in identical form up to quite recent times. Now, if you read this passage, look at this passage, you can find that there are some words which are difficult or which you are reading it for the first time. You may not know the meaning. So, try to first underline the keywords or difficult words or new words. If you underline that, you will know the meaning from the context, from other words. For example, here laborious is mentioned. I have underlined laborious. If you don't know the meaning of this word, you can guess from the context. Before he discovered a less laborious ways of making fire. Now, the word laborious has come from the root word labor. Labor means physical workers, workers who work who work physically, like coolies, or at construction site you find laborers working. So, they do physical work or hard work, they work very hard. So, here if you don't know the meaning of laborious, you can relate to the context, go back, read the line. Before he discovered less laborious ways of making fire. This line tells us or gives you an idea, indicator that here the primitive man wanted to find out less laborious, easy way. Less laborious means here is easy way to find or to make fire. He had to preserve it. Now, meaning of preserve, you have read this or you might have come across this word many times in some passages or textbooks or in your science biology lesson, preservation. Preserve is to store for future use, for further purpose, for future use. So here with such indicators you can get the meaning of the words from the context related to the other words. You can guess the meaning. Now let us look at the questions. What kind of questions can be asked? Primitive man's most important use for fire was dash. Now there are 4 options. Option A, to provide warmth. Option B, to cook food. Option C, to provide light. Option D, to provide warmth and cook food. If you go back and read the passage, you can see in this second line, fire as a source of warmth and as a means of cooking food. Here and is used. And is a indicator, or it's a, if you see the parts of speech of it, it is a conjunction, it is a joining word. So it is joining both the words warmth and cooking food. So go back to the question, look at the options, try to eliminate. Remember earlier I have mentioned about eliminating the options. Try to eliminate the options. In the passage they did not mention about to provide light. So option C is wrong. If you read option A and B, both are correct, but only one option is given here, warmth and to cook food. So the correct option is early man wanted fire or wanted to use fire for both the purpose, warmth and to keep himself warm as well as to cook food. So the correct option is option D. So try to eliminate the options. Option C is eliminated first, then A, B, the remaining option is D with you. D is the correct answer. Now let us move to the next question. Question number 2. The firebrand was used to. Why did he use that firebrand? What was the purpose of using the firebrand? Look at the options. Option A, prevent accidents. B, provide light. C, scare animals. D, save labor. If you see the passage, in the passage word laborious is mentioned. Laborious is related to labor. Labor, a person who works hard, a physical work. Laborious means hard work, doing hard work, a laborious work. Less laborious. So these words or this indicator will tell you the correct, will give you the correct answer. There in the passage laborious is mentioned and here you find in the option labor. So the correct option is option D. Now let's move to the next question. By primary the author means. What is the meaning of primary? Now remember in the beginning of the class I told you don't assume your own meanings. Don't try to understand anything on your own. Don't assume anything. Don't conclude anything. Whenever you are answering reading comprehension passages, try to answer from author's or writer's point of view. Here also when the word primary is mentioned, you have to give the meaning of this word from author's point of view, not your viewpoint. You cannot give your own meaning. You have to refer the meaning from the context of the passage and you have to answer the question. Read the options. Option A, primitive. Option B, fundamental. Option C, elemental. Option D, essential. Now go back to the passage, search for the word. You have underlined all the important or key words, indicators beforehand. Here primary is mentioned. Read the sentence. His discovery that the firebrand from which the torch was very well have developed could be used for illumination was probably incidental to the primary purpose of preserving a flame. So here primary means fundamental, important, very important, very essential thing, very necessary. So here primary meaning, if you go back and look at the options, primitive A, primitive is not correct, so you can eliminate the first option. Go to option C, elemental, this is also not correct, you can strike off this option. Option D, essential, fundamental and essential are close. Now you are confused between this. If you try to go and relate the meaning of essential there with primary, you will not get the exact meaning, but if you read as fundamental there at the passage, incidental to the fundamental purpose of preserving flame, here the primary meaning is fundamental, very important. So you will get the correct answer, fundamental. The correct option is fundamental. Moving on to the next question. Lamps are probably developed through mere dash, hazard, fate, planning, accident. What is the reason for making the lamps? What is the lamps are probably developed through mere hazard, fate, planning or accident. Go back to the passage. If you see this line, lamps too probably developed by accident. Here the word accident is used. Here you are getting the answer directly. If you can understand English, then you can write this word option D. In this question also the correct option is accident. Directly they have given the answer accident. So you can go eliminate A, B, C and you can tick the correct option D as accident as the correct option. Now moving on to the next, fifth question. Early lamps were made by. How did the early man made the lamps? That is the question. Read the option. Using a reed as a wick in the fat, letting the wheat soak the fat, putting a fat in a shell and lighting it, floating a reed in a seashell. So you have read the options. Now go back to the passage, read the passage, try to answer the question. Early man may have had his first conception of a lamp while watching a twig or fiber burning in the molten fat dropped from a roasting carcass. All he had to do was to fashion a vessel to contain fat and float a lighted reed in it. So here you will get the answer. Okay, such lamps which were made of hallowed stones or seashells have persisted in identical form. Now here you are getting the answer in these lines. Here he used a twig or a fiber which was burning in the molten fat and he dropped from a roasting carcass, and he used this idea to develop a lamp, to fashion a vessel. He made a vessel which can hold the fat or oil, and in that he has to float a lighted reed in it, just a wick he had to add in it. So the correct option is using reed as a wick in the fat. Here you are getting the indicator reed. This word is there in the passage. If you look at option B, letting the wheat soak the fat, this is wrong because nowhere in the passage this word wheat is mentioned. If you look at option C, putting a fat in a shell and lighting it, this is also wrong. So B and C options are eliminated. Floating a reed in a seashell, using a reed as a wick in the fat, these two options are left with you. Now you have to select a right one, which is the correct one. Using a reed as a wick in the fat, floating a reed in a seashell. So in those days he made lamps using the reed or floating a reed in a seashell. Correct option is option D. So in this way you can solve the reading passages very easily without committing many grammatical errors, without any fear. You can come out of the myths, the phobias you have, whatever false belief that English is difficult. You cannot solve English passages or reading comprehension is very difficult. You can solve it easily. If you follow this method stepwise, you can get full marks 10 on 10 in your reading section. Thank you.
కరెంట్ అఫైర్స్ 2020 జూన్. అంతర్జాతీయం. కరోనా రహిత దేశంగా న్యూజిలాండ్ నిలిచినట్లు ఆ దేశ ప్రధాని జెసిండా ఆర్డర్ను ప్రకటించారు. జాతీయం. వన్ నేషన్ వన్ అగ్రి మార్కెట్ దిశగా రైతులు తమ వ్యవసాయ ఉత్పత్తులను దేశంలో ఎక్కడైనా అమ్ముకునేందుకు వీలుగా ద ఫార్మింగ్ ప్రొడ్యూస్ ట్రేడ్ అండ్ కామర్స్ ఆర్డినెన్స్ 2020కి జూన్ 3న కేంద్ర కేబినెట్ ఆమోదం తెలిపింది. కోల్కతా నౌకాశ్రయం పేరును శ్యామ్ ప్రసాద్ ముఖర్జీ నౌకాశ్రయంగా మార్చే ప్రతిపాదనకు కేంద్ర కేబినెట్ జూన్ 3న ఆమోదం తెలిపింది. చమోలీ జిల్లాలోని గైర్సేన్ పట్టణాన్ని రాష్ట్ర రెండో రాజధానిగా ఉత్తరాఖండ్ ప్రభుత్వం జూన్ 8న ప్రకటించింది. వలస కార్మికులకు వారి స్వస్థలాల్లోనే ఉపాధి కల్పించేందుకు గరీబ్ కళ్యాణ్ రోజ్గార్ యోజనను ప్రధాని నరేంద్ర మోదీ జూన్ 20న ప్రారంభించారు. ప్రాంతీయం. రైతులకు రాష్ట్ర వాతావరణ సమాచారం, వర్ష సూచన వంటి సమగ్ర వివరాలను అందించేందుకు జూన్ 19న హైదరాబాద్లో తెలంగాణ రాష్ట్ర అభివృద్ధి ప్రణాళిక సొసైటీ రూపొందించిన టీఎస్ వెదర్ మొబైల్ యాప్ను రాష్ట్ర ప్రణాళిక సంఘం వైస్ చైర్మన్ వినోద్ కుమార్ ఆవిష్కరించారు. జంగల్ బచావో జంగల్ బడావో, అడవిని కాపాడుదాం అడవిని విస్తరిద్దాం నినాదంతో మెదక్ జిల్లా నర్సాపూర్లో జూన్ 25న 6వ విడత హరితహారం కార్యక్రమాన్ని ముఖ్యమంత్రి కల్వకుంట్ల చంద్రశేఖరరావు ప్రారంభించారు. ఆర్థిక వ్యవహారాలు. డిపాజిటర్ల ప్రయోజనాల పరిరక్షణకు అన్ని పట్టణ, బహుళ రాష్ట్రాల్లో పనిచేసే సహకార బ్యాంకులు